Okay, so suppose you have an experiment where you flip a coin 3 times. You then count the number of heads. State the random variable. So that's going to be the number of heads, right? So x equals the number of heads. And then for b, it says, write the probability distribution for the number of heads. So x could be 0, 1, 2, or 3. And then the probability of x, well, just like we did this problem in class, right? So what could you get? You could get heads, 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 tails, heads, 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 tails, tails, heads, heads, tails, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, tails, and tails, tails, tails. So getting 0 heads would be getting all tails, so that's 1 out of 8. Getting 1 head would be 1, 2, 3 different ways, so that's 3 out of 8. Getting 2 heads would be 1, 2, 3, so that's 3 out of 8. And getting 3 heads would be 1 out of 8. Draw the histogram for the number of heads. All right. So I could have 0, 1, 2, or 3. Could happen 1 way, 3 ways, 3 ways, or 1 way. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. Find the mean number of heads. So that's where we multiply by our probabilities and our x values and then add them all up. So for this is find the mean. I think we'll just do this in the calculator. So we're going to go stat edit. We're going to enter in all of our information into our lists. So I've got 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then this is 1 out of 8, 3 out of, 3 out of 8, 3 out of 8, and 1 out of 8. And then we'll just go stat calc one var stats on list 1 and list 2 simultaneously. And we get the mean is 1.5, which we could have gotten just by multiplying these down and then add all that up, you get 1.5. But the nice part is it gives us the standard deviation as well, 0.866. So therefore, for part D, the mean is 1.5. For part E, the variance is going to be the 0.866 squared. So we'll quit out of here, we'll go 0.866 and we'll square that, and we get 0.7499. Now, that's probably going to be a common mistake because folks are going to say, oh, I need the variance, so they're going to take the standard deviation. But remember, the standard deviation is the square root of the variance, so you got to square it back. Find the standard deviation. All right, well, we already did that. Find the probability of having 2 or more heads. Well, 2 or more, that would be these 4. So that's for part G. You'd say probability that x is greater than or equal to 2. That's going to be 4 out of 8, which is a half. And then the last one, is it unusual to flip 2 heads? So is it an unusual occurrence to get exactly 2 heads? Well, that happens 3 out of 8 times. That's not less than 5%. What is that, 37.5%? So the answer for part H is no. The probability that x equals 2 is equal to 0.375, which is much greater than 0.05, and so therefore, no, it is not an unusual event.